Hi everybody, you ready to do some tapping? I thought we'd do something a little bit different today and do some kind of live tapping, no script, no real idea where it's going to end up, but it's a very personal issue for me. I'll give you a little background. I've been having some foot problems for several months, and then a couple weeks ago I had problems even standing on the foot. So I just came from the specialist's office, and they diagnosed what I pretty much knew was the problem, which is a stress fracture of my heel. And so even though I kind of knew that that was what was going on, as soon as he said it, I had an emotional reaction. And so I wanted to do some tapping on a physical problem. And I'm not thinking that tapping is going to make my stress fracture go away. But I do believe that tapping can help my immune system and my overall internal mechanisms for healing to make it go better. My primary reason for tapping, though, is to kind of take some of the zing out of the self-talk that was going on for me as we discussed my stress fracture and the reasons I might have a stress fracture and some things like that. So I thought I'd invite you in to my personal tapping, and we'll see where it goes. I am going to take off my glasses so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll leave some space for you to repeat after me if you'd like to tap along. You should know that just because this isn't your issue doesn't mean that you won't get some benefit of tapping along with me. There's a concept called borrowing benefits, and just your tapping with my issue can help you with your issues. So here we go. I'm going to start on the karate chop point because this one is fairly emotional for me. Even though I have this stress fracture of my heel, which is not a pleasant thing, and I don't like it, I choose to believe that I can heal and be whole without a whole lot of effort. It could be easy. Even though I have this stress fracture that I definitely don't want, and all kinds of thoughts in my head that are not terribly pleasant, I choose to accept myself, the fracture, the thoughts, all of me, just as I am. Even though I have this stress fracture, and it is most inconvenient, and I don't like it, I don't want it, and I just want it to poof, go away, I choose to love and accept myself 100%. Up here on my eyebrow, I have a stress fracture. Side of eye. I have this stress fracture. Under the eye. I have a stress fracture. Under the nose. I have a stress fracture. Chin. I have a stress fracture in my heel. I have this stress fracture in my heel, collarbone. Under my arm. I have this stress fracture in my heel. Top of head. I have a stress fracture in my heel. Eyebrow. It hurts. Side of eye. Not just sometimes. Under the eye. It hurts pretty much all the time. Under the nose. And it keeps me from doing the things I want to do. Chin. I don't want it. Collarbone. I had one before. Under the arm. And I remember that it took a whole long time for it to heal. Top of head. And I missed out on doing a whole lot of things. Side of eye. And I don't want that again. Eyebrow, Side of eye. And then there's the reasons that we get the stress fractures. That's annoying too. Under the nose. Being overweight makes me at risk. And honestly, that really ticks me off. Because I had lost all this weight. And I've gained some back. Top of head, and I know it contributes to the problem. who start running can get stress fractures. Side of eye. But I can't blame that. I don't run. And why don't I run? Under the nose. Because I have a bad knee. So I know it wasn't running. People who increase their exercise suddenly can get stress fractures. Under the arm. And I did. I joined a gym, spending money, top of the head. And now I'm mad because I can't use my gym membership the way I want to because I have a stress fracture. That is so frustrating. Eyebrow. And I'm old. Getting older every day. And under the eye. And I hate that. Under the nose. It feels like body parts are falling apart every day. And I know it's going to take longer to heal now that I'm old. Collarbone. At least longer than it did when I was younger and had this. Under the arm. So how long am I going to have it? I don't know. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. I don't know. Top of head. Which makes me feel out of control. Eyebrow. And if you know me at all, side of eye, I don't like being out of control. Under the eye. Well, it's kind of a rude expression. Under the nose. Some people might call me a control freak. Chin. I reject the freak part of it. But collarbone. But I have to admit I do like to be in control. Under the arm. So right now, my body's in control. Top of the head. And I can't just will myself through this. Eyebrow. I've willed myself through a lot of things in my life. Side of the eye. And it usually works. Under the eye. But for right now, under the nose, my body's in charge. Chin. And I have to listen to it. Collarbone. And in a very real way, it's not listening to me. Under the arm. I don't like it. Top of head. But I don't have a good alternative. Eyebrow. So for now, I'm looking at a combination of crutches, which are no fun, and side of eye. Or when I can't use the crutches or choose not to because I have to do things with my hands, I can use my orthopedic boot under the eye, which also is no fun. Under the nose. And right now I feel like a real big whiner. Chin. Talking about all the things that are wrong. Collarbone. Instead of focusing on all the things that are right. Under the arm. The psychologist in me would like to tell myself to make lemonade from these lemons. Top of the head. This could be a good time to do some of the things that I want to do that require sitting. Eyebrow. It's a great excuse to let go of some of the busyness. Side of eye. And focus on some of the other things in my life. Under the eye. But because I don't feel like I'm in control of that decision and it's being forced on me, nose. It's much harder to see the lemonade. Chin. I have this stress fracture. Collarbone. And I'd like to allow healing to be easy. Under the arm. I have this stress fracture. Top of the head. And I'd like to release all this negative self-talk about why I have it and what life's going to be like with it. Eyebrow. And replace it with more positive thoughts. Side of eye. I have this stress fracture under the eye, but I choose to feel relaxed and calm. Under the nose. I have this stress fracture, but I choose not to let these thoughts get in my way. I choose positive thoughts. Collarbone. I have a stress fracture under the arm. I choose to think healthy thoughts. Top of head. I have a painful stress fracture. I choose to think wellness thoughts. Side of eye. I have a stress fracture and I don't want it. Under the eye. But I'm open to any lessons that it might have for me. Under the nose. I have a stress fracture. And I have an emotional response to that stress fracture. Collarbone. And I acknowledge that I'm normal. It's normal to have an emotional response to something. Under the arm. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean I'm weak. Top of head. It doesn't mean I'm defective. Eyebrow. It means I'm human. Side of eye. I choose to move toward acceptance. Under the eye. And feel a sense of ease and calm. Under the nose. I may have a stress fracture. Chin. But the x-ray shows it's starting to heal already. Collarbone. I acknowledge the amazing healing power of our bodies. Under the arm, and I welcome it into my life. Top of head. I have a stress fracture, but I choose to face it with a sense of peacefulness and calm, so that my emotions don't make things worse than they are. So my emotions don't make my pain worse than it has to be. And so my body can heal. Take a deep breath. Now, I don't know if you noticed, just a short while ago, I took a big breath and kind of sighed. I felt a shift at that point in the way I was feeling within my body. Yes, I still have a stress fracture. Yes, it still hurts. But by the tapping, I was able to relax some of that around, I'm too fat, I'm too old, it'll never get better, sorts of things I was telling myself. Now, will I have some more of those kinds of thoughts? Maybe. But a little more tapping should work for that too. So until next time, happy tapping!